Well, good afternoon to our AgBioResearch podcast listening audience. My name is George Smith. I'm the director of Michigan State University AgBioResearch, and I have a really special person here with us today to have a conversation about the importance of agriculture to the state of Michigan and the role that he plays in the state legislature, Senator Sam Singh. Senator, welcome. We're really appreciative to have the opportunity to visit with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So, Senator, for those that may not know you well or know your background, just give us a little bit of an introduction to Senator Sam Singh and your role.
Sure. I'm in my first term and I guess only term in the state Senate. Before joining the Senate, I spent 6 years in the State House of Representatives. I did local government as a city council member and a mayor of the city of East Lansing, and I've worked in a variety of other policy making arenas throughout my career. While I was in the House, I had the privilege to be on the Ag subcommittee for the budget, and now in the Senate, I not only am on the Ag subcommittee of the budget, but I'm also on the Ag policymaking committee as well. And so it's been great opportunity for me to learn a lot of the issues facing the ag community, both in my time in the state house as well as here in the state Senate.
Yeah, well, Senator, I've certainly appreciated the opportunity to get to know you a little bit and your role and the opportunities we have to talk about the important research that AgBioResearch does and the role that MSU Extension plays in getting that out to people in the communities and the agriculture industries and so forth, where it can be applied and make a difference for Michiganders. And I know in your job, you get to talk to a whole host of people with a whole host of backgrounds and perspectives. Agriculture is the state's second largest economic driver. So I know you talk to lots of folks who are vested and care about agriculture, farmers, growers, ranchers, agriculture organizations, and so forth. What do you hear from your constituents interested in agriculture in terms of the needs of the future and how they might be addressed and the role that the legislature can play?
It's been interesting to watch over the period of time I've been in the legislature. I'll be finishing up my 10th year this year. And, early on, I think really what I was hearing from my farmers or food processors was always about talent. They needed a workforce. They were always struggling to find workers and wanted us to take a look at how the state could help them help through some of their workforce issues. But at the tail end of my time in the House, and especially now here in the Senate, it is very clear that climate has become a big issue, and we might call it different things on the farm versus in the city. But extreme weather events have has impacted planting seasons, harvest seasons. A whole series of areas are doing different types of crops now because of some of the changes in weather. And so I definitely know that I'm hearing that question coming up from our farmers and food processors. And I know that's why they've got a great relationship with MSU Extension and AgBioResearch because there is this need. And there's just not a lot of good research out there on the national level that I think because there's so much change that is happening all across the country. And so having a state resource like we do is very valuable. But the third area now is a whole set of different economic factors, with some of the change with tariff policy at the same time as just inflation and other costs. It is impacting our farm communities in a variety of ways. And so they're trying to figure out how to manage some of these other economic drivers in a very different way today than they had to look at, a decade ago. So a variety of different factors, but I think, the things that I've been hearing are pretty consistent now is help us understand these new weather patterns and what does that mean to our industry, help us understand these new factors, whether it's tariff or other inflationary measures. And I still think the issue of getting good talent remains an issue today as it was a decade ago.
Boy, Senator, you hit on the issues of the day that are on the minds of the agriculture community across the board. It doesn't matter if you're a cherry farmer in the Traverse City area. It doesn't matter if you're a grape or vegetable farmer in Southwest Michigan. It doesn't matter if you're a dry bean or wheat or soybean or sugar beet grower in the thumb. Agriculture across the board is dealing with those two challenges you talked about: extreme weather, input costs, and also interwoven within that is market pressures and tariffs and foreign competition and things like that. So as the state's university, the land grant university, it's our mission to help provide solutions to those problems for that agriculture is facing, both short-term problems and long-term ones. We really, respect and recognize that role, and we're committed to doing just that. And support from people like you and others in the legislature have really helped make it happen and position us to address those problems. And we hope to be able to continue to do that in the future. Talk a lot about what makes Michigan agriculture special. Senator, I know you've heard this term. We use it a lot. Our congressional delegation uses it a lot. Uh, Michigan is the most diverse agricultural state in the country with a reliable source of water,
Yep.
given the challenges out west that California is facing. And that really presents an opportunity. So that makes us unique. What also makes us unique are the partnerships with agriculture. So I know you hear from what you name the commodity, corn growers or beef producers or whatever in your district, but you also hear collectively from the agriculture industry. Give me your perspective on those partnerships, how that makes Michigan agriculture special, and how that helps contribute to, um, I would say, helping to make the case and get things done in Lansing that benefit their bottom line.
Yeah, I think we've done a really good job over time, really building a strong network for our ag community. Whether it's the local ag groups who come together through a farm bureau or
Mhm.
through their own corn grower association
Yeah.
in the county and so forth. That kind of learning that they're doing at the local level has been, really special. And then when you lay that with some of the programs that we've seen, whether they're through the USDA or programs that come
Mhm.
out of Michigan State University. We've seen a lot of best practices getting onto our farms so people can produce better, see higher yields, but at the same time be sometimes even more environmentally protective of their land and so forth. So there's been a lot of learning. I think that's been happening both through local opportunities, but also, tackling on USDA
Mhm.
grant opportunities, as well as some of the research that's been done at Michigan State University and, getting that information out. The good thing that I see here, unlike some other industries, that I've worked with, there's a lot of groups that do research and it looks really good. It sits on a shelf.
Mhm.
The ag community is not that kind of community. They
Mhm.
they will take whatever they can get for help and support, and then take it and implement it. And if it doesn't work, they'll come back and tell you right away, "Hey, this isn't
Mhm.
working, or what you were sharing with us isn't effective," and they'll give you that feedback in a very quick and forthright way. And so that's what I really enjoy about the industry is that kind of give and take. But there is this sense of, hey, we've got to do this together. And that's what I think makes Michigan agricultural so special.
Boy, Senator, what a great testimonial for the importance of the land grant mission and why it started in the first place. You spoke about the workforce earlier, and that's why we have land grant institutions, and it was the heart of the Moral Act to provide an opportunity for higher education and agriculture and the mechanical arts at a time when in the late 1850s, 1860s, when that type of education was only available to the elite. And then you turn the clock forward 20-ish years, and we have the advent of the Hatch Act, which created the agricultural experiment stations, which AgBioResearch is our name for the Michigan Agricultural Experiment Station, to do practical research to benefit farmers. Still a big part of our mission today, but the scope has expanded. And then hitting on probably one of the most important aspects of all of it, research that sits on the shelf is meaningless. We do research to benefit people, to benefit Michiganders, to benefit our industries, and to make life better for the state of Michigan and beyond, and that important role of extension. And you're so right that farmers embrace that. They recognize it, they depend on it, and it's critical to their industry. And we also embrace the role we play in that. So kind of staying on the theme of what makes, Michigan agriculture special, we have some really unique programs at MSU that you won't find comparable programs in the country, such as Project Green, the Michigan Alliance for Animal Agriculture, and the Agriculture Resiliency Program. And as you were talking about the challenges agriculture is facing and what you hear from your constituents and people that come to see you, those problems are directly addressed by these unique programs. I know you've been a champion for those programs. So why do you think it's important to support these type of efforts?
Well, as you said, things are changing so rapidly, here in the state, and whether it's weather related or whether it's other economic factors, our local farming community needs that type of partnership. And so, whether it's the research that's being done, through Project Green, or these new resiliency research opportunities that are coming out of the climate resiliency program, that is real research that can, impact,
Mhm.
the farm and its yield, the work that it's doing
Mhm.
on a regular basis, and that is why we want to invest in those. And so, in my time here, especially in the Senate, we've been a strong champion of not only protecting the two programs,
Mhm.
Project Green and Michigan Alliance for Animal Agriculture, but we also wanted to expand that. And so,
Right.
really excited that 2+ years ago we were able to get those additional dollars
Mhm.
in for the climate resiliency
Mhm.
program, and I think that is going to be an incredible opportunity. It's already shown results here in
Yeah.
the first 2 years of the program, but I see great opportunity coming forward. And every time, this seems like every
Uh-huh.
budget cycle, right? The
Uh-huh.
governor might not fully fund one of these
Uh-huh.
programs, or they might not put it in there, and then
Uh-huh.
we hear from our local farmers, hey, can you
Uh-huh.
put that back in? And whether it's myself or Senator John Cherry, my friend Roger Victory,
Uh-huh.
or Julie Brixey, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle, House, Senate, we've been able to sort of put those dollars back together and make sure
Right.
those programs have been fully funded. And, but that's because there's a need and there's a
Mhm.
want, and Michigan Ag BioResearch is being done by Michigan State University, and the people want it.
Yeah, fantastic. And we certainly appreciate the support you and others have provided to make sure these critical programs continue to be funded by the state. So as we move towards the end of our conversation, Senator, I'd like to ask you for a little bit of inside baseball. What would you want farmers in the agriculture community to know about your world and discussions that are had about the legislative level around agriculture that will help people kind of make the case or stress the importance, et cetera?
Yeah, I always think it's good, especially, every election cycle, we end up with new legislators.
Mhm.
We still have term limits here in the state of Michigan. So there is a constant cycling through, whether it's in the House or the Senate, of new members. And I do think our ag community has to be really vigilant about
Mhm.
educating lawmakers. I'll use myself as an example. I'm was born and raised in a suburban community, went to Michigan State University, did not have an ag background. But when I joined the legislature, one, obviously, I represented Michigan State
Mhm.
University. And so I wanted to ensure that I fully understood everything that was happening at the university. But I had a strong, ag background in some of the areas of my district, which I didn't really know. So I threw myself into that, and I had a lot of good local farmers who helped me and educate me at that point in time and still do to this day. But that's where I would really, encourage people to reach out to their legislators. And it doesn't matter that, they don't have an ag background.
Mhm.
As you already mentioned earlier, it's the second largest economic driver
Mhm.
for,
Mhm.
the state of Michigan. And so whether we have experience in it or not, we need to understand it, appreciate it, and support it. And so I do think it's very meaningful for us to talk to all legislators as they're coming on board to understand it. We've encouraged a lot of our colleagues, to make sure that they're getting to their local farm bureaus, making sure that they're talking to their conservation districts. There's a lot of opportunities at the local levels for them to better understand what's happening. All the
Right.
work that MSU Extension is doing on county by county area, there's a lot of that opportunity. And I think we need to just really engage and make sure the legislature fully understands these programs and the meaningful work that's happening within the ag community.
Yeah, really, really appreciate that, Senator. Kind of taking it a step further, you know, been doing this a while, been on a number of visits every year. I really enjoy it, getting to know the people and tell the story. But it's important to also look inward and figure out what we can do better to tell the story. So, what advice do you have to me for me or MSU proper on how to better communicate the importance of the work that's done and the impact?
I think oftentimes, for legislators, they want to understand the return on investment. We are bombarded with groups who come in and say, hey, we're in this budget, in this department, this is what we do. And especially in times like this budget cycle where we have limited resources, it is a little bit more difficult to fund programs to the full level. People want to know
Hmm.
if I make this investment in your line item,
Hmm.
what is the return on investment? And, I think you do a very good job already
Hmm.
making that case. But then as you make that case, then having the local partner who
Yeah.
can then echo that to their local legislator is something that's really important because sometimes when we look at statewide initiatives and activities, we can
Mhm.
sometimes forget that it's actually impacting the local community. And so when you have that partnership between the work that you're doing at the state level, but then you have the local groups that are being impacted by your research or that partnered with you on that
Mhm.
research, telling us what that impact is.
Mhm.
That's really, I think, a very powerful piece. And so that return on investment, but getting the local voice. So we hear from our local farmers about the importance of the work that you all are doing.
Right on, Senator. I love it. Great advice. And we're going to continue to do what we do and keep that, element of the conversation at the forefront going forward. Well, Senator Singh, this has been really a fun conversation. We appreciate your time. I know our listening audience is going to appreciate your time and all the great insight you provided. So, any last words you want to share with us before we wrap this up?
No, I just want to say thank you. I've enjoyed the opportunity to be here on the podcast, but more importantly, been enjoyed the opportunity to work with you and all the
Mhm.
others at MSU Extension, at AgBioResearch. You do incredible work on behalf of the state, and we look forward to the continued work we can do together.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Senator.
All right. Thank you.